Okay, so on the lateral view, this is side to side, you'll see how in the right one, the horse's cannon bone's much more vertical. In this one, the cannon bone's at that angle. Okay, let's try and switch hands here. And with the x-ray beam coming in horizontal, it does not meet, this is the joint in question, the distal intertarsal. It does not, the x-ray beam doesn't meet that angle of that joint, whereas in this one, it does. And so when it hits that block of bone in the back, you don't get that nice black line like you do. So this horse, Clyde, does tend to stand in a sickle-hocked manner. This would be, if you just stood him up naturally, you're going to get something that looks more like this than this. And a lot of horses that prefer to stand like that, it's really hard to get them to have that cannon bone straight up and down. All right, so let's move on to the navicular bone in the front. Okay, so then the question here is, why does the right front navicular bone look crisper, more even, have more well-defined margins than does the left one? And is that bone fusion? Well, one of the things you see right off the bat is all this speckled stuff in here, and you can actually see the hair of his feathers. So in an ideal world, we'd x-ray something that looks like this, probably a 15-hand quarter horse in his heyday. And the x-ray beam comes in here, picks off this navicular bone in the back, proceeds through, and then the x-ray detector plate is beneath the horse is standing on it. So in your horse, we x-ray through this carpet of hair that's on the front, this massive feathering that's all hanging down here. And on top of that, your horse does not have a nice, clean frog like this one. His frog, the edges of it are mushroomed out over there. So we've spent a great deal of time digging all that junk out from under there. Also, his frog is quite irregular, has a lot of little pock marks in it. So we tried to stuff Play-Doh in there as best we could, but keep in mind, this horse is just jarred against a wet gravel surface. That's the reality of trying to produce, top x-rays in the field. So because you're x-raying through all that junk, you just pick a lot of this stuff up, this, debris, edges of his frog and so forth, because that's, again, we're shooting through all that stuff to pick out the relatively small navicular bone. The right foot was just flat out got a better shot at it. So keep in mind also that opinions aren't based on just one view. I mean, we take that view, let's make sure we're going to advance the right one, and then we take one at a slight angle, okay, and here, it looks nice and crisp on that one. And then we take an angle slightly the other way. And so putting all that information together, he's got a nice normal looking navicular bone. Now, there is area for debate. And let's go, the next view we're going to look at is the Skyline View. Left on the left, right on the right. And you'll notice that the left one has, more holes and everything. These are synovial foci. And then this right one is better. So I think that it would be fair to pick them apart a little bit on the left. But in my opinion, it's like this is an A+ student and this is a B+ student. Both are doing just fine. And neither side would give me any clinical concern. But, it's a fair statement to say that there's a difference there. But what you don't see is any sclerosis of the bone or calcification along the back edge. So that's kind of what leads to my opinion. Okay, over and out.